Welcome back, family, to another episode of Social Walking in Wisdom, where we explore the intricate world of Nollywood movies. And for the aficionados of Nollywood throughout the diaspora, we have the distinct pleasure of feasting daily on different movies while I hope and pray while we are learning from the lessons that are being portrayed. And when we listen to the executive producers, writers, directors, and actors that bring a cast together and provide us with such quality work on YouTube, totally free of charge. The question is, are we learning? Are we growing and developing as we move forward? So if you're a man or woman of faith, indeed you're on your faith journey, you love Nollywood just like I love Nollywood. Join us as we explore the entire concept of understanding the importance that character indeed matter right here on this platform, a very new platform, Social Walking in Wisdom. And this platform indeed 100% was inspired by no other than indeed Sonia Uche. So let's root her on. She's at 940K subscribers. We can move ahead to 1 million strong indeed. So it takes everyone to do, speak, view, manage, fan out, and let us bring this young lady to 1 million strong. Why? Because she has certainly earned it and deserve it. And this is a very good example. As you view her movies, family, look at the cadre of characters this young lady has portrayed. So it's not about considering someone as an idol, right? We do not worship idols. But we have to give credit where credit is due. When someone is so good, they're passionate about the work, they bring a lot of depth and intensity to all the characters. And she herself leading the team as executive producer and acting the very critical and detail-oriented characters with much complexity, which you could do an entire storyline about the behind the scenes and the history of that character. It's important that we recognize that this is not easy, what she has done, managed to do, and as a result, she is deserving of individuals not just praising her, but praising her talents and gift that was bestowed upon her by indeed the Father. And she's spreading it by bringing forth quality work where we can learn, level up, and develop. She's a woman of faith, a woman of wisdom, as I say. So in doing so, she also provides some pearls of wisdom to us. And again, she ascribed to when they go low, she goes high, high, higher. And she can do that because indeed she's a woman walking in faith. And for that, we say kudos to her indeed. So let's go ahead, support her, subscribe, run over to Instagram, do the same thing. That's Sir Uchenna Mbunabo itself, because our today feature is coming from his movie, but absolutely exceptional indeed by Sonia Uche. But let's go ahead and see what's going on with Sonia Uche and come back to Uchenna Mbunabo. So she's at 1.6 million followers. She has a little bit more than Sir Uchenna Mbunabo in terms of Instagram followers, but this is indeed very remarkable. Pending is my critical and character analysis for the movie All We Have. That's coming up. If you have not seen the character analysis for my latest one I just published, My House Help, be sure to do so. Again, a lot of lessons learned. And again, we say thank you to her. If you have not seen Enrique, please be sure to go over and see Enrique, then view the character analysis. If you have not seen Off Balance, Half of Me, please be sure to do so, Wrong People, then go over and view, including Who's to Blame, with this wonderful movie she came out with Iso DK. So review the movie and then go back and consider my character analysis and ask the tough questions. I'm also entertaining questions, so absolutely you go ahead and do so. But today we are going to give the head nod to Sir Uchenna Mbunabo, once again, great storytelling, great line. And the concept, again, of this platform is to really view the movies and incorporate. Use this as a free learning platform where you see the vision of the executive producers and writers and how it's portrayed by the actors. And then consider my character analysis. And if any of those characters you can relate to, if you could relate to the good, moral, effective, wise characters, then all praises to the Most High. And we encourage you to then each one teach one, go out and share your knowledge and your wisdom. And if by chance there are areas where you need to learn from, we certainly encourage you to do so. So here at Uchenna Mbunabo Television, he's at 3.13 million subscribers, so he's very well known. He just very well might be the most popular Nollywood producer on YouTube, so head nod goes to him, and he has a lot of powerful movies. It's so much, I cannot keep up. But as I look and view them, we try to either premiere them now and have it available for you. So today we're looking at no other than, I am pleased to say, Wear My Shoes indeed. We're looking at Wear My Shoes. And this story, we have the lead character, husband and wife team. We have the veteran actress from Ghana, Nadia Buhari. She's back again. Excellent actress indeed, now that I'm following her. And then we have the handsome Anthony Manharo. He is so funny and he's such an excellent actor. He does evil, wicked really, really well. And he also does charming very well and a good husband very well. So in this movie, we're going to use the powerful lens of character analysis to explore this movie today, Wear My Shoes. We'll dissect the fiery clash between a husband and wife, each convinced, well, he's convinced that his role as the breadwinner is the only role and is of greater value. And while I don't think she believes her role is of greater importance, I think she believes it's of equal importance. She is just exhausted, as all new moms are. She has a baby that's a few months old, and she has a young boy, maybe no older than 4, 5, or 6. That is exhausting. And as a female, knowing the challenges of motherhood, it's important to note that being a full-time mom is of great value to the household. And the husband should be very lucky for the person who is contented with being a housewife in the 21st century, but just only asking for help. And in this case, you'll see in the movie, though this is not a movie review, if you need to see a movie review, we encourage you to check out those who are doing reviews, and we encourage you to give them your support. And this is not about gist. However, if you want more gist, we encourage you to support those that are giving gist. This is for Nollywood fans, aficionados throughout the Nollywood diaspora, four corners of the earth, who loves Nollywood, who loves Sonia Uche, who loves Uchenna Mbunabo, who loves Nollywood movies, see the value in it, who are men and women of faith, who desire to level up, who desire to unlock their potential. And you could start by understanding the character flaws that we all possess. And I said, and we can improve. No one is perfect. Everyone is a work in progress. There are areas where we can tweak, and we're using Nollywood movies. It's really a fun way to just develop professionally and using biblical scriptures to bring us there. So again, today we're looking at indeed the movie Wear My Shoes, and we're excited to bring this analysis to you, courtesy of, again, Uchenna Mbunabo indeed. So we have to talk about the family. It's a family of a baby girl and a young boy. We're going to use this photo as an example and understand to make a family work, it is indeed a journey and it's a vow made by a man and a woman. And the goal here is to really unpack the hidden motivations, unspoken desires and hopefully leadership lessons that are woven into the fabric of this, I would say, unforgettable story. It's not like the story have never been told. It has been told, but it has a twist. And of course, it was very well executed. Every point, every positioning of the shoe, the feet make a difference. And yes, I certainly picked up on it. So let's explore together and find the truth that lies in the beautiful, messy, and ultimately powerful partnership of two between a man and wife. And the question stands, whose role is more important, that of a husband, the breadwinner, or that of a wife being the stay-at-home mom? And in this particular character analysis, we're going to just get into it, understand what we're called to do, and understand the goal here as as a leadership coach and as a business strategist, is always about win-win. And we have been mistaken for far too long, not understanding that we can create win-wins, right? Um, it seems that someone created the narrative that for you to win, someone must lose, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We can create win-wins. That should be your goal at all times. And we're going to show you, if you stick with us, if you have not subscribed, please be sure to subscribe. Do so. Hit the thumbs up. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear your questions, thoughts, comments, or even if you disagree, but please be respectful indeed. Which is more important, the role of a husband or role of a wife? Let's get into it. And let's consider indeed that most important when you say that vow, integrity still matters, character still matters. So it starts with the person you've decided who is your mate. A lot of the traits of that person that may show up, a lot of those little signals and signs show up even when you're dating, unless it's a speedy relationship. But if you've dated a person more than 6 months into a year, a lot of these little signals, whether they have integrity or character, should come into play. If you decide to move on anyway, there are some challenges, and that, again, we will certainly get into it. But this movie, Wear My Shoes, is the old adage of what walk a mile in my shoe. And even though this movie details information and shares information about a husband and wife, with the husband pontificating that it is much more challenging as a breadwinner, that he is a more valued member of the team, and that his only job is to go out and make the donuts and bring it to his family, and everyone else should laud him. And that's where his story begins and ends. That can be further from the truth. So when we talk about wearing my shoes, if you are a type of person that doesn't need to walk the mile in someone's shoe to understand and be empathetic, then we say, way to go. You are certainly displaying sound character, good character, because that tells me that you have the ability to empathize, be empathetic. You don't have to walk a mile in someone's shoe or wear someone's shoe to know that they're hurting. And if they're asking for help, assist in some way, right? You're a different type of person if you ignore someone's plea. And more importantly, if it's coming from your spouse. So don't do it. If by chance you're not a person, it's important that you know that this is a skill you need to build on, whether it's an empathetic employer or empathetic spouse or empathetic child or empathetic friend, being able to walk a mile in someone's shoe, or being empathetic with someone you've never met, but is hearing their story. And keeping in mind that in the 21st century, there are a lot of scammers. But if you're a man or woman of faith, you indeed walk in with a spirit of discernment. And indeed, if you're walking with a spirit of discernment, you know the difference, and you're able to be empathetic when you're called to be empathetic, and you're able to show a level of concern, and indeed, you're able to understand, empathize, show compassion without having to walk in someone's shoe. But in this particular story, the spouse, the husband, played by Anthony Manaro, and his character's name was Joshua. Joshua certainly needed to walk in his wife's shoe to learn. And I hate to say it, based on my practice, it appears, this is not solid research, so this is my disclaimer, but it appears with my clients so far and engaging with different individuals, sisters, I have to believe that we happen to be a little bit more empathetic. And I believe that was by design as women, right? Not all the time, but many a times we are more empathetic than men, my apologies. So maybe this is a skill that men of faith need to work on, and being able to have this level of empathy. And I strongly contend that if indeed you're a man of faith, because you're doing fruit of the spirit, that should come even more natural for you as well. So if you're on your faith walk, this should not be a question. But let's go back into what happened since he needed to walk in her shoe. We'll take you to the scripture of Proverbs 18:21. In March 2025, I dedicated 5 weeks, 5 Sundays to a Renew Your Mind, Transform Your Life virtual conference. And myself and my co-sponsor, Sister Coach Barbara, we give very detailed information. This information is now on Spotify Creator. I will leave the link. Again, this is further tools where you can go listen. Be sure to subscribe. If you're listening and you're doing the work, minimum, be sure to subscribe there as well as this platform. But we also use this biblical scripture, Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. And part of death and life is to be mindful that your words have power. Remember in Genesis, the words were spoken and it was. God said, let there be light, and it was. So because we made in the image and likeness of the Most High, and I believe that's Genesis 1:27, note that when we make the decision to use or to say a spoken word, err on the side of it being positive and full of faith and favor, as opposed to be negative, because death and life are in the power of the tongue. In this movie, that was clearly visible when the wife, played by no other than Nadia Burari, in her frustration and through her tears, and there's nothing like the tears of a broken-hearted person. During that time, in her tears, she used the words. I want to make sure I say the right words, and this is a quote, "I wish you would lose your job," because he was very condescending. He was disregarding her, and part of the movie, I must mention this part, she had a high school or college reunion, and because he failed to take care of the kids who he's the father to, guess what? She had to find alternate means. I'm not going to give it away. You must watch the movie. But again, death and life in the power of the tongue. So when she stated, "I wish you lose your job," it was just a matter of time. He indeed received a pink slip. And as he received the pink slip and his employment status declined, she received a call for a position she applied for about a year ago to start a position. Hence the reason the roles were reversed, and he's now a stay-at-home dad, getting a taste of what it's like to be a stay-at-home person with 2 kids. And not just the value and the love that comes with it, but the responsibility and the fact that it's a role that requires assistance, even if you're the breadwinner. The cleaning, the cooking, the taking care of the little ones, it's a full duty. And then at the end of the day, you are exhausted. So if you have the financial means to do so, bring in someone to assist, even if it's not with the kids, with definitely the cleaning, the washing, so that part the wife doesn't have to deal with, especially with two younger kids. If someone is older, then the older child could help in certain ways. But with two younger kids, if you have the financial needs, that would be the win-win. If not, as the spouse that's working, it behooves you to return home from, yes, being a breadwinner, but taking on the other role as father or mother. And in this movie, he had to take on the role as a stay-at-home dad. What I like about this movie, again, showing that integrity matters and it's important to be empathetic and it's important to work on it. This is a full-time job. And there's no amount of money that can compensate for the time for raising a family. And this is really forever, regardless of how old the child is. You would hear a mom especially would say, well, you'll always be my baby. But there's a time where you have to cut that cord per se and allow that child to then become the adult that you've trained him or her to be. But indeed, this is a full-time job. You need multiple hands. It's almost like you need to be an octopus to manage. And everyone is different. Some individuals can function better doing multiple things. And though it does burn you out emotionally, some people are just more adept in handling it. However, as a person, as a spouse on the other end, it behooves you to be cognizant of the plea of the person. If your spouse is asking for help, in this case, the wife, do not ignore her cries. Do not ignore her pleas. And learn to indeed walk a mile in someone's shoe. You could either learn by just being empathetic, or if you're not naturally an empathetic person, the harder way is walking a mile in someone's shoe. And the God that we serve, the Elohim that we serve, really has a funny bone in showing that we learn and grow, because when you know better, you should desire to do better indeed. So yeah, it's really tough, and it's about being a very busy person. And of course, as a wife, if you're more traditional, using the more traditional ways of preparing dishes, etc., it indeed can be a handful. So here indeed you have the role reversal, and it's important to note that the words that we speak matter and can really change things around indeed. So let's get in further into this character analysis, looking at the two main characters of the movie. But before we get into it, it is so important to know that each spouse had a best friend, really giving them sound advice. So at times we have seen movies that are frenemies, and we need to be mindful of frenemies. If you have not seen any of my character analysis that speaks about it, I recommend that you do so. However, we celebrate real friends, and real friends are those who would tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. So if you have a real friend who can speak truth to power and would always tell you the truth and not try to sugarcoat it, then we say, way to go. You have a friend indeed for life. Now let's get in today's further character analysis in terms of the key lessons for each of the character. We're looking at, as we mentioned, empathy, and emotional intelligence is required if you're going to be empathetic, right? And emotional intelligence, you move away from me, myself, and I, me, do, re, me, me. No, right? It's important to understand that you have to move away from the me, myself, and I mentality and understand there's someone else in the room with you, someone else that dwell in the house with you. There's someone else other than you in this universe. That's very important. So a true leader understands and values the contributions of every team member. And in a household, I indicated before, A household is like an organization, and you have team members, and everyone needs to come together to ensure that the organization is run efficiently. And if everyone does his or her role and then helps out the other one, it can be a healthy, happy, indeed organization. So a leader who fails to recognize the emotional and practical needs of their team member will indeed face similar conflicts and a decline in an overall performance and morale. It's important to respect all roles. A leader must promote a culture, including within a family, where all tasks and roles are seen as important. And that is key. If we consider the body of Christ, we know that the scripture tells us that there's one body. But in that one body, you have different members. You have the eye, you have the feet, you have the toes, you have the fingers, you have the arm, you have the leg. You have the torso, you have the ear, you have the nose, and each member of that one body has a very important role. If you don't believe me, if you lose a member, you will feel and begin to know the difference, right? Sometimes we don't miss something until it's not there. So try to become more empathetic if it doesn't relate to you. Try to emotionally and mentally put yourself in that person's shoe, wear that person's shoe emotionally and mentally and spiritually before it becomes a physical manifestation. So it's important to respect all roles and, of course, lead by example. Joshua's behavior was really a poor example of a partner and a leader, and his condescending attitude really set a negative tone. And again, it helped in her emotional breakdown, her emotional stress, her fatigue, her mental fatigue, knowing that a key member of her team refused to help in any way. A strong leader demonstrates the behavior they wish to see from their team so they indeed can emulate. And when the roles were reversed, speaking of role reversal, indeed, when the roles were reversed, she was more empathetic and checked in with her husband more. And why is that? Because she walked a mile in that shoe. She knows what it takes to be a mom, not just a mother, a mom, and the importance of holding down her family. And plus, she loved doing it. She just needed some assistance from the spouse or outside help. But because she walked in the shoe, she indeed, when she became the breadwinner, was more empathetic than he was. But the good news, which I love the storyline, he pivoted. There's nothing worse than when you do not learn from your mistakes. When the roles were reversed, this family man indeed, as we consider wear my shoes, he indeed was able to pivot, apologize, say I'm sorry, and be totally transparent and vulnerable. That turned things around for their relationship as well. And it was beautifully executed. I'm not going to say anything more because I want you to watch the movie. It was simply a beautiful movie and lessons learned. Let's consider some key takeaways, family. Understand, number one, value is not based on income. The film highlights that a person's value is not tied to their income or whether their work is compensated financially. Right? The wife's contributions, though unpaid, were essential to the family's well-being. Partnership requires reciprocity. A lot of folks stay away from that word or run from it. They like to run with a money bag and then totally disappear when something is required of them. But in any partnership, business or personal, be it a marriage or business, yes, the burden of labor and emotional support must be shared. This particular film and movie, Wear My Shoes, demonstrates that when one partner is doing all the work, the relationship will become strained and eventually break. Absolutely. And then the third perspective or key takeaway or lessons learned from Wear My Shoes, courtesy of Sir Uchenna Mbunabo. Perspective is powerful. Joshua's change of heart only happens after he is forced to live in his wife's shoe. In other words, walked a mile in her shoe. And this underscores the idea that leaders and partners they can only truly understand the challenges of others when they gain perspective. So to improve your leadership, you must be willing to step outside your own role and see things from another's point of view. So if you're an employer and you have employees that are single parents, whether male or female, be a little bit more, indeed, empathetic in terms of their timeliness. Don't go all gung-ho and give them the pink slip, right? Maybe consider 3 strikes or 6 strikes, you're out. If the person is chronically late, that's a different story. But err on the side of empathy. It's important that as a global community throughout the diaspora, and as a leadership coach, I would say, be empathetic, lend an ear, operate on the side of wisdom that encourages you to be kind. It's better to be kind than right. And understanding these 3 lessons learned and key takeaway coming from a family, my question to you is, which one of these lessons resonate with you? Which one of these takeaways you can apply or you have already applied and you've seen some growth? And if you're not a naturally empathetic person, then that's okay. No one knows. Well, maybe. Because when you don't have empathy and you display a lack of empathy, it is visible. But it's not too late. Again, in the prior character analysis that we recently completed, we indicated indeed you can teach old dogs new tricks. So regardless of how long you have the habit of, I can change, or I am this versus that, and you're not displaying empathy, you have a way of, again, working towards walking a mile in someone's shoe. And you can do the work, break that bad habit, and level up. Level up. Level up with the group of Nollywood fans, of Nollywood aficionados, the fan base of Nollywood that have committed to becoming better because we're in a faith walk. And now that we know better, we decide to do better. And once you decide to do better, it requires work. Faith without works is dead. You must do the work, be not just hearers of the word, be doers of the word indeed. And again, if you have not subscribed to Sonia Uchi Television, we encourage you to please do so. If you have not subscribed to this particular new platform, which is Social Walking in Wisdom, where we consider your attitude, and having that positive attitude is what's going to direct your altitude and give you a level of great gratitude. Yes, your character disposition indeed matter and sets the tone within your office space, within your home space indeed. And if you have not seen any of the movies, including My House Help, which we just recently posted on, I believe, Tuesday, September 2nd, please go ahead and do so. And be sure to view any of the others that you have not viewed before. Indeed. Family, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Social Walking in Wisdom indeed. We encourage you to fan out, spread the word, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. If you have any concerns, you can certainly leave it in the comments section. I would love to converse with you, the audience, in terms of what you're working on or what you have improved on. I will share my vulnerability and be transparent with you if you indeed share your golden nuggets with me as well, even if you disagree. If you're a coach and you disagree, Come on, let's have a chat about it. I enjoy the conversation as well, but it's all about a global charge of Nollywood fans leveling up in time for the end of 2025 into 2026 indeed. Thank you so much for listening to another video. And as always, shalom.